Welcome to your first week of class. Each week, prior to you looking at the content, I'm going to go ahead and give you just a little overview of some of the key points that you need to consider. So, first week, we want to look at the introduction to training and development. What it sounds like is what it is. So when we think about training, we've got some key components that we need to concern ourselves with. If you look at the wheel here, working from the inside out, up top, what we have is the very first point, formal training and employee development. Sounds pretty reasonable, right? We need to make sure that our employees are getting trained and developed. Two ways we can do that, through informal learning and knowledge management. As you look at the middle, though, the very, very bottom thing, what we're trying to get to is performance improvement for each one of our employees so we can ultimately reach our business goals. And basically, if you cut through the tape, all that means is, hey, everybody needs to contribute to the business goals. And from a company standpoint, we want to provide you as many resources as we can. So training is going to be one of those key components that we make sure happens. There is a very specific training model that we'll talk about, and it's called ADDIE. The acronym sounds for the analysis. We're going to do analysis on what we need to train, how we design that training, how it gets developed, how we do the implementation phase, and then how we do the evaluation piece. So basically, we're going to take a look at what needs to be done, figure out how we can make that happen, train the people, and then more importantly, how do we evaluate their results? Because remember what I just told you. It has to link to performance, and that performance has to link to business results. So here's some key questions. Why is it important to systematically design training? We're going to answer that. Key word here is it's a system, or if you want to look at it another way, training is a process. All models have limitations. We will go ahead and take a look at what the limitations of the ADDIE model are. And then more importantly, from an individual standpoint, what should you do in practice? Meaning, after you go through the training, what do you do to make sure that your skill set stays sharp? When we talk about Chapter 2, we're going to get down to some strategic training. For example, the 4 steps of strategic training are: identify that organization's business strategy. What are the strategic training initiatives? Basically what that means is we've got a group of people. What do we need to train them in so they can support the business strategy? Then we have to develop the learning activities. When you think in terms of learning activities, think in terms of what do we have to do to make sure that we reinforce the activity that people are going through? How do we incorporate that into their job, their learning time, just so it becomes a part of their culture? And then finally, we have to identify the metrics and evaluate. If we can't evaluate training, it doesn't do us much good. For somebody to say, oh, I enjoyed the training, or oh, that trainer was the best trainer I ever had, and then you leave and you don't incorporate that into your day-to-day job or your function, it really wasn't training. It was just a good time to get away from the office. So, as you think about week 1, work smart, have fun, think training. Thanks, and I'll be back with you next week with our overview.